Hey guys, welcome back to Card Crunchers podcast with myself, Poketin King, and as always, Pokemike. So today we're going to start off by talking about the Pokemon Classic. So it's the most expensive item that Pokemon ever released as a normal TCG release. Obviously, it's got its Japanese release as well, but the UK and the US, the English release, is retailed at £400, which is just absolutely mental. Now, I know quite a lot of people that have bought it at this price, so clearly it doesn't deter, a lot of the people that I know. So, did you want to talk about kind of what made you sort of decide to buy that?
I think it was a bit of a rash decision, to be honest. I saw that this product was coming out. To be honest, I didn't do enough research, but I saw this product was coming out, and it's a throwback to base set. It's all those cards again, right? But just in a slightly different way. You got different foiling and stuff on them, and it's expensive. It's £400 for 3 decks, and it's a fancy product if you see what you get inside. But in terms of cards, you just get 3 decks aimed around the 3 starter evolution Pokemon. And I just saw a lot of dislike for it. Right, I just saw a lot of people going, "Oh my god, £400, what a joke!" And I saw a lot of negativity around. Oh my god, I'm losing my voice. I saw a lot of negativity around it, and that that made me want to get it purely because I thought people aren't going to pick this up, and then I think long term it's absolutely fine. I think it's a good buy long term. Yeah. Now looking at in terms of not doing the research, I didn't realize that it was coming out in Japanese and it was going to look a little bit different. So for those of you that aren't aware, in the Japanese version you get special foiling around the borders, around the yellow borders, as well as the main holo part. In the English version, we're not getting those foiled borders.
No.
So I didn't realize that, and I know in Japanese, it's already come out, right? So it's out. It's gone up in price. I can't remember what retail is. I want to say it was somewhere around 200 to 250 if you could find it at retail. As of right now, I think it's pushing £400, on the second-hand market. Yeah. I think you had to do the classic case of entering a lottery to be able to win it, to win the chance at buying it in Japan. And looking at both products, I do think that the Japanese copies of those cards do look nicer because of that extra foiling. It just makes it stand out and just really makes it that little bit different compared to the original cards. Gives it that kind of legendary collection sort of reverse kind of vibes. Whereas the English set doesn't have that. I actually think at a £400 price point, I'd rather have the Japanese version. Japanese products always as well seem to do extremely well, short, medium, and long term when there's something special like this. I think a lot of that though does come from the fact that it never comes over to English, but this obviously is. I think a lot of people are more interested in the Japanese version. Maybe it's just because that is the one that's already come out and that's the one that's accessible right now. But I think if you look at stock and pre-orders for the English version, there's still tons out there. You can get it actually cheaper than £400, which is retail. So what do you think about those 2 products? They're the same thing, but different languages, right?
I would actually say they're 2 different products just because of the foiling, I think.
Yeah.
As you said, these exclusive Japanese things, they do very well, short, medium, and long term. So that's why I would say it's its own product. I think the reason why it's risen now, a lot of singles are dirt cheap. Bar the Charizard and Pikachu, the rest of the set is very cheap. For what you'd expect, those kind of cards to be. Now, bear in mind, as you said, it is just 3 decks. There's a lot of art that's used throughout Pokemon's journey. I know there's a Lapras there that's from Heart Gold, Soul Silver. There's some cards that never got English artwork. So there is a nice mix. You've got those base set cards, but you've also got a nice mix of stuff. And the Japanese set itself is absolutely stunning. They are really beautiful cards. I know that I recently entered lottery for it again because they're doing not lottery, made to order. They're doing made to order on it, so there is going to be more printed in Japanese, but it won't be. They won't. I don't think it'll be everyone getting it. I think it'll still be a lottery. This thing is still lottery based system to made to order. They'll keep it exclusive. I think the English product. It's a shame that we're not getting the same foiling because the English product does kind of feel a bit. It does feel subpar, honestly.
Yeah.
It's what I'd expect an English re-stability, honestly. Very little thought into it. A rehashed, cheaper version of the Japanese, except it's cost almost double what the Japanese did at retail. So, yeah, at £400, I guess it depends what you buy them for. If you're looking at it and it's pure investment, and it's a great product, I think, if you don't care about Pokemon. Like, if you're not into TCGs, and you don't really care at all about it, you don't want to do any research, you just know that this item is going to be up in value. I think long term, as you said, it will do very well because even though it's quite readily available still and at below the recommended retail, it's still going to be somewhat limited. You know, it's not going to be mass produced like the Charizard UPC, for instance, if I compare it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how well it does. Cause I think the English product is just a bit rubbish. I think the Japanese, if people are interested in buying the Japanese, 100% would recommend buying. If you wanted to keep it sealed, I think the Japanese one will be a better buy. If you can get them for similar price right now, then for me it's a no-brainer to get the Japanese. But it is a shame that they didn't do the foiling because they did the same thing with was it Celebrations, where we got the gold, we got the border in Japanese around it. Thai got the Thai language ones got the border nice around it. So did a couple of other languages, but English didn't. And you can kind of see that when they look, side by side. It's just, it's mad how very different it is. But yeah, I don't think at 350. I think if you can get 350 in English, I'm just trying to debate whether or not it'll go lower. I mean, it can go lower because distro price is around 300.
Yeah.
So technically, if we're comparing it to other Pokemon products that are hitting distro price or below distro, I think the lowest it could ever go to would be like 280. But I don't know how much is printed, so I don't know. A lot of stores seem to have it, like a lot of small stores. I mean, I know it was at distro. I could have ordered it, but I wasn't confident how easily I could sell them, and I don't really want to be buying multiple products at 300 quid each to hold.
How many is in a case? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
No.
okay.
I would imagine. Well, they're going to be big, aren't they? So I'd imagine 2.
Yeah.
If I think of UPCs, I reckon they're the same length as a UPC, but twice as thick. So probably about 2 per case, but. Yeah, I think, but they were to be ordered individually, not by the case.
Okay.
But yeah, it is an interesting product. I think it's an experiment. It reminds me of what Magic did with Magic 30, where it was more of a guinea pig trial to see how far they could push it.
Yeah.
Because if this sells well, right, they're going to go, well, we know we can bring out a product at £400 price point.
Yeah.
And it will sell. But obviously, that's not how it usually works, because if it loses its magic, if one thing can sell at 400, if you then release 10 more things at 400, each set release is going to be less orders. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm interested. It's a very interesting product. It's something different at the end of the day. I don't blame them for trying something different. When it was announced, there was a lot of hype around it. So,
yeah, I think if it comes out and prices drop, I would expect that a little bit, if I'm honest. Just because so many stores do have it. But then, yeah, I guess with it, like, it's very likely it's limited, so that will happen, and then people will buy it cheaper, like whether that's 300, 280, 350, and then it's all gone, right? I can't imagine them reprinting this.
No.
Like, as you said, it does feel like a testing the waters kind of product. And yeah, they don't want to print it to oblivion and it kind of not do well. That would just, yeah, I just can't see them doing that. It seems like the opposite thing they're trying to achieve with that product. But yeah, I think it's definitely an interesting one to watch and see what happens with it, because just the price point put off so many people from the get-go, and their dislike for it. But I think now that we're seeing like the product, I know it's the Japanese version, but now we're seeing like full contents and how it looks. I think it's pretty cool. Like it's a pretty cool product. But like at the end of the day, if you don't like it, you just don't buy it. Like simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah. In terms of, I think we haven't spoken about Weiss Schwarz in a long time. But we had a new set in Weiss Schwarz that was very popular, very big. I mean, I did do a video showing off some of the cards before the set came out, saying this is going to be a big popular set. And it was. So that was Azure Lane, which is a mobile video game that I don't really know if anyone even plays. Like, obviously people play it, but like it's unknown of really to a lot of people. Let's be honest. But the set was very popular because it's got a lot of lewd cards. It's got a lot of anime girls on, and in Weiss Schwarz they always go down well. Like there are collectors that absolutely just eat that up. So I think I went through about 4 cases. I did an opening live on YouTube, and you did pick up a box. So
yeah,
obviously I sent those cards to you. What did you think of? What did you think of the set? Did you like it?
Yeah, the set's nice. I think so there's a lot of lewd cards. They're warships, right? They're famous warships.
It's as far as I'm aware, it's a game about warship. I don't know how it plays, but it's the girls are named after warships. Yeah,
after warships. Yeah. So I mean, it's a classic Japanese thing, really, isn't it? They do weird stuff like that. But yeah, I think the cards look really nice. I was lucky enough and I pulled an SP.
Yeah.
It was the last box of the opening.
Yeah.
I just finished work. And I was debating. I was like, "Oh, do I get one?" These cards look, and then I seen one SP pulled, and I was like, "There's still a chance to pull something." So I was like, screw it, I'll get a box. I think every now and then, different Weiss Schwarz sets. I'm interested just to see the cards in person.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, obviously I pulled an SP. I sold it before I even got it. Which was fine. And then I got it in hand and I was like, it's just a really nice card. Obviously the texture for Weiss is always very good with a lot of these SPs in general. But the SRs are really nice as well, which is nice because I know not every set the texture and the SRs are nice. Some of them are just literally boring cards.
Yeah.
But the cards are really nice. I've sold a few of the singles already on Card Market, so
okay.
It's clearly a popular set, as you said. I mean, I saw your video talking about the trial decks, and some of these SPs from there are like $800, which is mad. I mean, yeah, I think I saw someone ask about it in one of the Discords, and you mentioned about how many, so many cards are, so expensive at the get-go. But I can see why. I mean, the cards look really nice. Bushiroad do really well when they make these sets, and they know what sells. Let's be honest. These lewd characters, there's going to be fans that collect them, and I know the person I sold to is trying to collect all of the SPs and some. Yeah, I think it's nice to. With Weiss, obviously, as you said, they release so much all the time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just picking and choosing and understanding. I mean, you did 4 cases, right? What's that? 72 boxes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That for any TCG release. I think is massive. I mean, I couldn't shift 72 boxes of any Pokemon set.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because it's Weiss in the UK is tiny. It like the customer base and the people that collect it and buy products. It is a really small small group of people, and but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, we've gone through 72 boxes. Like, I couldn't do that for. I mean, like you said, like you wouldn't be able to do that for a new Pokemon set, but I think with that, there's more competition, and that's not saying no one else sells Azure Lane, because they do. That there are other stores that have it. I just think. I mean, part of that comes down to the fact that I think I sold like 2 sealed cases, right? So already that's like 36 boxes gone to just 2 people. Whereas I think selling,
which is rare for TCGs.
Yeah.
Selling, I mean, a case is 18 boxes, right?
Yeah, but guarantees you those hits, doesn't it? So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why people do it. That's why people want a sealed case, because they don't want that. I might spend a few hundred risk here and get nothing. Yeah.
It makes sense. I think over the years of understanding Weiss, I've kind of been for and against it, I suppose. But it works. If you're buying a full case, you know you're going to get those hits. And probably, for the most part, a lot of people can make their money back from just opening a case.
I mean, honestly, that's why I feel like a lot of people do it, is because like the EV, like if you broke down and worked out the EV, quite a lot of the time you're breaking even or making profit, and the odd time that you don't make money, it's a tiny loss, unless you get like super unlucky, and then you might lose a few hundred, but that's going to be the odd rare occasion that then gets outweighed by all the other times where you've gained, you've hit the chase card. And
I mean, if you spent the same amount of money on Pokemon, you wouldn't get anywhere near the money back.
No, and that's the thing, is like that's what I guess makes buying a case so attractive to people, is because worst case, you open it and you sell it all, in the sense that like you sell your hits and you sell 2 play sets, which is generally what you can make from a case on average. Differs set to set, but you can normally sell 2 play sets at $150 each or $200 each, depending on how much they're going for. And then whatever the hits are, you still have the enjoyment of opening a case and getting a chance at hitting a big chase card. Like you're still, so a lot of people do it because it's not the same as dropping £1,000 on Pokemon sealed product and opening it and then coming away with £100. Like it just that just doesn't, that's physically not possible with a Weiss Schwarz case, because of the playsets and the hits. Like they're never gonna. Well, they are currently never worth that little. Like it just doesn't, which is weird, because how do you think that compared? Like, is that an anomaly, like for a TCG, or is Pokemon the odd one out, where your EV is just ridiculously low?
No, I think Yu-Gi-Oh is the same. I mean, I opened a box of Yu-Gi-Oh recently, and I got back, I think, £4. Which,
I mean, you can do that in Weiss, right? Like if you don't get an SP, you'll probably yeah.
But if you opened most sets in Weiss, you'd get some SRs or some double R's even that might be worth 50p each. With Yu-Gi-Oh, I think Yu-Gi-Oh's its own. I think Yu-Gi-Oh's an anomaly where it's a bit of a dead TCG. Honestly, I think people are going to disagree, and I know. I'm sorry, Dylan, if you're watching this, and he knows that we've had this discussion before.
Yeah,
there is, they reprint. They're like the masters of reprinting.
Yeah.
Where you'll have a card come out, and then 12 months later, you'll have a card that's like £300, and you've got it in your collection, and then it's a super duper ultimate rarity. It's 1 in a billion packs, and then 12 months later they do a mega thing and reprint it in another rarity, and suddenly it's worth like £4, and you're like, what the fuck? But Konami don't care, and I think Magic do similar things as well. Pokemon is just, there is, from an EV point of view, to make your money back, there's 0 point in opening Pokemon. It's just I wouldn't recommend it. If you want to open Pokemon to have fun, absolutely. There's some lovely cards in there. Like there's, the sets they do now are beautiful. I mean, Paradox Rift. I was tempted yesterday. I almost bought some Paradox Rift in the shop, but I was like, wait, why am I buying it from the shop? I just get it from Discord. But there's that still I wanted to pick up a couple of blisters.
Just crack them.
But they were 15 quid each, and I was like, 30 quid for 2 blisters. And the promos are crap anyway for the Paradox Rift. But it does look like a really nice set, so I will probably open some at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe on the stream for someone else, so I'm not wasting my money. Spending my money, not wasting. But yeah, I think Weiss definitely is, and with Weiss as well. How many people, as you say, over the whole, you got to pre-order in advance like you do with One Piece.
Yeah.
How many people are selling sealed cases? Very few people, right?
I don't think anyone in the UK really, except for me, will sell someone a sealed case. It doesn't.
So you've already straight out the bat, that's it.
Yeah.
Someone wants to come and sell a case in the UK. I mean, they can get it shipped from the US. There's a couple of stores I know. I've done it myself, as you are.
Yeah.
But in the UK, that's it. So I think, and if, as you said, you're pretty much going to break even on most points, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the only TCG I compare it with right now probably would be closest is One Piece. But yeah, it's I think it's good. I think Weiss is just an interesting one. So we talked about, obviously we've talked about Weiss now. I kind of want to talk a little bit about Union Arena again. We'll have a small segment. It'll only be a couple of minutes, but it's going to please me. So after that came out, I spoke to a couple of people on one of the Discords that I was in about Union Arena.
Yeah.
And quite a few of them have picked up some. They'd had trips to Japan and they'd picked some up themselves, and they really liked the cards. And they agreed with us. They think it should come in English.
Yeah.
So, but then I also saw a couple of other people that say it will never come to English. It will never be. It makes no sense to. Obviously, so do you see with this TCG Expo that we're happening? Do you see potentially in the future at some point that kind of event, whether it's in the US or the UK, being something that they could trial at? Because that for me feels like a perfect example. Like you've got a lot of people that collect and play, like mostly play as well, multiple TCGs. I mean, obviously Bandai are partnered with the TCG Expo, so they've got their cards games there. Does that to you seem like the kind of event that would make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course it was, because they're already there. Bandai have a presence there. They have One Piece competition, Digimon, I think, as well. Like it would be the perfect place for them to do something like that. Obviously, I would imagine it would start in the US first, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why it's not in their pipeline. Maybe it is, but it has been out. I want to say maybe it must be coming up to a year, surely.
Yeah. And they've got a lot of sets coming out.
Yeah, they're still pushing a lot on there, like in terms of the IPs and the new sets coming out. I think the Tekken one just came out. I don't know. It just in my head it just seems like a perfect Western type of like TCG to release. Like it just seems more suited to a Western audience, even though it is Japanese based. But compared to things like Azure Lane, where we're talking about anime girls that are warships, and things like Uma Musume, where they're famous race horses reincarnated as little Japanese girls. Like at the end of the day, there's more of an audience for that in Japan, and it doesn't necessarily align with a lot of people. It doesn't align with a casual anime enthusiast. That's how I'd put it.
Yeah,
like people that are just into shonen.
I think we need an inside man, honestly. But
yeah, literally.
We need. I'd say Matt, but he can't even do a rarity guide, so I don't know if it'd be him. But yeah, TCG Expo. I don't know about you, but obviously it is literally everywhere. Like every time I go on Instagram or it's everywhere. It's constantly people posting about it. New partnerships. The trade night sponsored by whatnot and stuff.
Yeah.
Does this feel like the start of potentially? I don't know how to word it. This feels like this is going to be the biggest TCG event in like card show event, whatever you want to call it, in British history.
Yeah, I think so.
And
yeah, it's hard because I'm not going, so like we won't necessarily be able to experience that. It's just so far away. Like it's like I would have gone if it was closer. I mean, I could have vended there, but Weiss wasn't there as a tournament.
Yeah.
So it did make sense for me to, especially where it is, just go that way to do that. But definitely, I agree. Like every time I'm on Instagram, whether it's stories or a post, like I do see it, and there's so much going on. There's so much being revealed. There's so much being announced. That it does seem like it is going to be the biggest card. Well, it's not even just a card show, is it? It's there's competitions. Yeah. The biggest card event in the UK. I think it will be. It does definitely seem like that. And is it next weekend? I think this weekend coming. Yeah.
Next week. Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of people like doing videos and posting things and like I know we're not going, but we'll be able to see. We know people that are going. I mean, we know people that are running and part of the organisation of it. So we'll definitely obviously find out how it goes. Yeah, but do you? I guess you couldn't physically go, could you? Because you're not in the country.
No. I would have gone. Yeah, I would have gone if I was in the country. I would have made it possible. Just because of what it is, I think it's a really important event. Obviously I'm at Flesh and Blood Worlds, so if I wasn't there, I 100% would have made it possible to go, and I would have tried to convince you to go as well.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I feel like I probably at this point, well, going back a few weeks, I probably could have easily been convinced to go because it does look and sound like it. I mean, we probably would have entered the One Piece.
We'll do the next one we can for sure. I know they're planning to do multiple. So it's exciting it's exciting for the UK because
100%.
We don't have anything like that. I mean, you said about vendoring, but I would 100% wanted to kind of play One Piece there.
Same.
That would have been great, I think. I'm going to Flesh and Blood Worlds and I'm not playing Fab. But I would 100% play One Piece at regional events. But I think it should be good. I'm excited to see all the content and stuff made.
Yeah.
And kind of hear from people that go there, kind of how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of, I guess, wish I was going, but due to issues at the moment, this definitely not something I could just rock up to next weekend. It's for sure. So how's Flesh and Blood Worlds looking? Like, are you what plans have you got? Like, obviously you said you're obviously not playing the game, but have you got anything planned? What, like, is it just to sort of meet people that you've not spoken to online and never had the chance to meet in person? Like, what's the reason? Are you making content? Like, are you going there to make some, like, a video or?
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of content already planned with some players, some other content creators. We've got a couple of nice, quite rare special items that are being traded and also picked up and opened. So we've got some Season 2 Judge packs, which are going to be opened. They're sort of like 250 to 300 euro a pack. And multiple of those are going to be open, so I'll be able to record those. There's also a gold foil, which is you win it for winning a ProQuest event. So they come sealed, and it could be a random gold foil. So that'll be opened up at the event as well. So I think I've tried to. I didn't want to book too much because it's my first Fab event. I have zero clue what to expect. Obviously, you can watch people you can watch videos and stuff, but for the most part, it's very different than like Pokemon Worlds, for instance, where there is people playing, of course, but a big part of that is just the experience. Whereas I think with Fab, it's a lot of people that are playing, where Fab is primarily a player's card game at the moment. So I don't know how many people that are going that aren't playing like myself. I thought, I had to be there. It was the first European World Championships. There's not really any excuse not to go because Barcelona's 2 hours on the plane. So I go on Thursday and I come back Monday. So it should be good. I'm excited. We're going to this players' reception dinner thing before with Legend Story Studios, who make Flesh and Blood, and then a couple of others names and that. So I'm hoping through people that I know that I'll hopefully meet Rudy. That would be great.
Is he going?
As far as I'm aware, he's going. He goes to all the major Fab events.
Oh, that's going to be well good.
So I'm hoping. Yeah, I haven't heard anything that he hasn't. He doesn't really announce on socials where he's going.
Oh, okay. Just turn up.
But I know PCG will be there, and I'm going to get some cards graded with PCG in person. They do it's quite. I suppose it's quite expensive. I think it's around €100 a card, but you get it back before the weekend ends.
Yeah, I guess it's like a day turnaround.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll get a couple of cards there, and you can drop off cards as well, and they'll grade it, and you get it back in a couple of weeks from their Germany headquarters. So I'll most likely do that as well. Probably just do Flesh and Blood. I think I thought about trying to see what other cards would look like, but already having collections split between BGS and PSA, I don't want to do that with PC. Although Flesh and Blood now, I'm going to have Flesh and Blood cards graded by 5 different companies, so it does look like a bit of a mix. But yeah, it should be good. I think the weather's going to be nice, 22 degrees, so it's a far cry from the weather that we've got over here, which should be good. Yeah, I think it'd be nice to meet a lot of people that I've been speaking to for years that I've never met in person.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should be good. It's definitely. I'd like to compare it to Pokemon Worlds because that's the only other thing I can compare it to.
Yeah.
I've never been to small events for Flash from Bud. My first event is the biggest they do, so it'd be interesting to compare it to Pokemon Worlds.
I think it'd be nice that it's smaller. Just because like when things are so big, like there then becomes like sub communities within them, and like when you're attending an event in person, things like I always find it nicer when events are smaller. I feel like people are more welcoming and it's just more personal. Like you get enough time to speak to everyone that you want to, whereas at huge events, it's like you people are there and you don't even see them. Like it's just too big. So yeah, I'd imagine that's going to be really, really nice and just enjoyable. And yeah, I hope you have a great time. And it sounds really exciting just from the things that you've mentioned that you want to do while you're there. And you've got quite some time there, to be honest. Like, what was it, Thursday till Monday or Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'll come back Monday.
When is the event? Is it just over the weekend, but you've got some time before and after? Or?
It starts Thursday, so the players' reception's on Thursday evening, and then the event's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're gonna hit up some card shops on the Thursday. I know there's a store in Barcelona that's doing a armory event on the Wednesday. So a lot of people they're going up on Monday and they're spending the whole week there.
Oh wow, yeah.
But of course they'll want to prep, so there'll be an armory event getting as much experience as they can in. So yeah, it should be good. I think I'll probably end up leaving the event at some point because most of my friends are going to be playing. Yeah. So during the day, I'm going to be on my own. Yeah. So I'll kind of just network a little bit. I've got my new business cards that came yesterday.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to chuck them at people, to be honest.
While they're playing.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, just use this one. Get someone disqualified. But Yeah, it should be good. Barcelona's a lovely city anyway, so I'll just kind of explore it on my own. It's the first trip properly as Rafe Tavern Cards, so it should
Yeah,
be good.
yeah. First business trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I hope you have a good time, and obviously, well, as soon as you're back, so we'll obviously hear about it all in the next episode. I guess that'll probably be the next podcast episode. We'll be just talking about how that went and everything that you experienced there. So yeah, I'm already excited just for you to go and come back and chat to you, if I'm honest.
Yeah. See how much money I spend.
Yeah, yeah. See how much over the budget
yeah,
you
I think
went.
it's. Oh god, yeah. I think I have set a budget, but obviously we know how that goes. I think, I think probably right now where I've spent, I don't want to say I've spent a lot less time within Flesh and Blood, of in terms of like my sales for Flesh and Blood are a lot less. One Piece has completely taken
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Obviously, One Piece is something that we've spoken about on the podcast every week now for God knows how many weeks. But
when is it going to be a week
really
without being mentioned? I don't think there will.
Yeah, I
be.
don't know. I don't know. I honestly, I don't think One Piece will have.
No.
It's I'd say 90% of the business now is One Piece, which is.
Does that worry you?
Yeah, it does, because obviously we understand the world that we are in right now.
Yeah.
When things are going good, you obviously think, well, what happens when it's not? So
Yeah.
One Piece at the moment is the hot thing. It's, in demand. I think with Flesh and Blood, Bright Lights coming out didn't help. And I've pretty much sold all of my singles for the set before, which just they flew out.
Yeah.
So partly it's because I just haven't reinvested that money. I am in talks at the moment to pick up a collection anyway, so which I'm hoping to pick up at Worlds. But I kind of have shifted my focus towards One Piece, and naturally, obviously, the sealed sales for One Piece sells quicker than any other TCG right now.
Yeah.
So I obviously took the decision not to stock Paradox Rift. I couldn't compete with other stores. It made no sense to do that. I don't want to be just stuck with loads of cases of a set that I'm not going to sell for 12 months or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it does worry me, because when it stops, it's like, okay, is that going to be just a case of like One Piece comes down and something goes up, or is it going to be a case of like One Piece comes down and everything is just linear? And then it'll be. It's a hard one, because I don't think as long as they don't announce a reprint, which they could do. And again, if they announce a reprint, honestly, I think the demand will still be there. It'd just be cheaper, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People will be buying boxes for 100 or whatever. I think One Piece will stay popular for the next 6 to 12 months, but beyond that, I don't know where Pokemon's going to be. I mean, the shiny set will be popular, which comes out in December for Japan, and I think January for us.
Yeah. I think.
But yeah, it's a hard one, because remember with One Piece pre-orders, I pre-ordered April's releases.
Yeah, and it's like,
so
is it still going to be as popular then? But
yeah,
I don't know. I keep seeing like OP5 reveals, OP6 reveals. They do look really nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, OP5 reveals, obviously we already know what they look like, but the OP6 ones in Japanese do look really nice. Yeah, it's just what happens with the demand, I guess. But yeah, I guess that's always going to be like a problem or like a worry, I suppose, that this is doing really well right now. What happens when it doesn't? Is something else going to be doing well? And I think realistically, you're never going to know. Like,
no,
you can assume that maybe it would drop off in 6 months, or maybe in 6 months' time, Pokemon will pick up again, because at the moment it's still on the modern, like the stale modern era, I guess, where just people don't want the new set like they used to. that's not it's not going to stay that way forever, but you just don't know when it will change.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
sorry, go on.
I would like to see the numbers. I would like to see the print run numbers and the sales numbers, the volumes for every Scarlet Violet set.
Yeah,
Because I'd like to compare them to the Sword and Shield. It does feel. I mean, I had this conversation with someone. I've had this conversation with quite a lot of people. They all feel. I feel like they all share the same opinion, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't think Pokemon's in a bad place now per se. I just because a lot of people have said, "Oh, Pokemon's dead right now. The market's down. Like, there's no money to be made." And all I'm hearing is like they can't make money from it, which is like whatever. It's not. I mean, I'm a business, and I've accepted that Pokemon isn't a TCG that you can make good high profits off in modern right now. So I just chose not to participate in that, which is absolutely fine. Like, the sets still are beautiful. There's nothing wrong with the cards themselves. It's just we haven't got these very high rare chase cards. Obviously, the last couple of years, Pokemon changed. Grading got saturated because everyone got involved in graded. Yeah. Whereas before, pre 2019, you could buy the last 8 sets in the shop; it'd be there. Bar Hidden Fates, of course, got a mental.
Yeah.
You could buy the last 8 sets in a shop. Now, if I go into most shops now, I can't get the last 8 sets in English. So surely it's better than it was before, or I think we have dips and stuff like that, but I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with modern Pokemon. I just think people have shifted their focus. One Piece is really popular right now. Obviously, Lorcana, they've just done a reprint of Wave 1 and Chapter 2's coming out. Sorcery as well. In the US, Sorcery's quite big. Beta's just come out. So I think people have just shifted their focus a little bit to kind of other areas. And again, as I've said this before, most collectors of Pokemon collect, like, they'll collect similar TCGs. The same with like Magic with Flesh and Blood and stuff. So with Pokemon, if they're generally a lot of them, they're the ones that went for the Disney set, for the Weiss Schwartz set and the Pixar set. They might be interested in Lorcana right now. I think a lot of them shifted to Lorcana, or they might be in One Piece. So I think, in a times where we're in a global recession, people are just a bit more picky with what they spend their money on.
Yeah, I guess it's classic hype. Like, it's classic people following what's doing well, which makes sense. I mean, you're doing it from a business perspective. Like, you're on One Piece and it's doing well. So, like, why would you not continue and buy it and open it and sell singles, like, when they do well? Like, it just doesn't just make sense to do that. And obviously some people will follow that and follow those trends as well, just on a personal level. But it's good. It's a good point that you make about Pokemon, where it's like this. It doesn't. It's not dead. It's just not where it has been in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Which in itself is an outlier, right? Like, the last few years is just something that doesn't exactly happen often, right? So
yeah, unprecedented the last couple of years.
Yeah, so the comparison is to that, which is not sustainable, I guess. Like, you can't.
No.
For every new set to come out and like sell out, it's not. Is it good? Is it bad for a business? I don't know. It's weird because, like, in Weiss Schwartz, if I kind of need to sell out sets, because if they don't sell out, they don't normally sell post 1 month after release. Yeah. So it's like, if I'm left with stock, I'm left with stock, and I either have to sell that, sell that dirt cheap to get that money back out, or just accept that it's going to be sat there for years, because it will. And it did used to be, that used to be the case. I remember when I first got into Weiss Schwartz, I picked up Adventure Time, Trial Decks and booster boxes from stores in the UK. That set had been out for about 2-3 years. They still had stock. and that shows you like the dynamic of Weiss Schwarz, and having a new release every 3 weeks and each set being a different IP. Once it's out, the people that wanted it have pre-ordered it or have bought it on release, and post a month later, if they haven't picked up, they're not picking that up. Like, that is just how it is. But I know with most TCGs, like Pokemon, that's not the case. Like, you want that product to be available for almost like a year, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's probably quite a nice realistic time frame for having the set available. And they've had sets that have been available for 5 years. Look at Evolutions. Like, that was available through to the next era.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably, I mean, not quite that set, but like that's probably where we are now, right? Where, you know, even in 3 or 4 months' time, you'll be able to pick up Obsidian Flames. You'll be able to pick up like the base set for Scarlet and Violet. Like, that doesn't mean it's doing bad, but I think because people can't make money on it, they see it as doing bad.
Yeah, which is weird. I think you know, someone mentioned about the PSA 10 pops of cards directly affecting the sets, and how there's too many PSA 10s now, so their set's crap and Pokemon's dead. And yeah, I don't know. Obviously, people's mindset shifted. Again, a lot of these people that discuss these weren't collecting before 2020, so they only have this memory of it being mental, and they don't remember that actually that's not what it's about. You know, having multiple sets in, we can still pick up quite a lot of the Sword and Shield sets, so which is great. I think, you know, if you're binder collecting, if you're collecting these sets and that, the ability to be able to pick up packs still, you know, 12 months on is great. I think, you know, that's what it should be. You know, as a store, sure, you want to sell product quickly and, you know, build that capital, but for me, I know that I've got quite a lot of, you know, I've got cases still of different sets, but, you know, I'm quite happy to sit on some because I know that at some point, you know, they sell slowly on streams. You know, we sold on our last stream, we went through some Silver Tempest, the stream before we went Fusion Strike. So people do pick up, they want those cards there. You know, they still got some cards there when it come, and they think, okay, I'll pick a couple of packs up here and there. That ability to be able to pick up a couple of packs here and there again, I've said this before, the average person isn't buying boxes of stuff. I think our perception's been warped by social media, where we're seeing people, you know, look at this case that I've just bought, or, you know, let's see if I can open 50 million packs of the new set. And that's not what it's like. That's not the average takeaway from a TCG. The average takeaway is someone buying a couple of packs. And I know myself that that's what I want to be able to offer, is the TCGs that I am stocking, to be able to offer, you know, that ability and that opportunity of people to go, right, I want to pick up. Because my favourite thing that I used to do with my local TCG store, my local LGS, which I can't really so much anymore with Flesh and Blood because it's not a ability to be able to do that. But I'd go in and get like 2 packs of this set, 2 packs of the next. I'd get 2 of each set, and then I'll just have an opening and be like, oh, which one, you know. And that I enjoyed that. The ability to pick up multiple sets was peak for me. That was it. That was the peak happiness of TCG collecting. And that's what it should be. It shouldn't be each set sells out quickly. Obviously, it's different for Weiss because people pick up and release, and also with Weiss, if it's loose boxes, no one's invested in loose boxes because they could be dead boxes, right? Yeah. Some people might collect them to display because they look nice, but they'll most likely buy a dead box because they know it's going to be cheap. They can pick it up for like $30 or whatever. But with Pokemon and obviously other TCGs, it's different. So, yeah, I think I've seen a lot of positive stuff about Paradox Rift. Honestly, all I've seen is positive, and I think that's about the communities that you surround yourself with. You know, some of the Discords I'm in, there's a lot of players and a lot of collectors. They aren't people that are buying cases of stuff. So, you know, they're really enjoying Paradox Rift. The single prices seem to be holding well, which is great, which is what you want. It seems to be holding better than the previous SV sets. because there's a lot of cards that are like that middle era, like £10 to £15, which is kind of how you make your money back, I suppose.
Do you think it's doing better from? Do you think it's doing better because it has the new mechanic? The new,
Probably, yeah,
yeah. I guess a lot of people want to try it out.
Yeah, 100%. And I've seen some cards from it. Again, as I said, I want to open some for myself. I might just buy a box and do an opening. But yeah, I know they've got they've got some of the foiling, the reverse hollows look really nice. I don't want to say it's dual type, but they've got with a new mechanic and stuff, so the cards do look different, and it does change the meta as well. There's cards that, I did hear that this set is comparable to OPO5 in terms of like its ability to change the meta up a little bit and kind of shift it from how it's been, not stagnant, but how it's been for a while. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, we've got the shiny set coming up next, and they always do well. Yeah. Shiny sets always do well. People like it. I think 151 did pretty well. I think Pokemon were quite smart in that they didn't under or overprint it. I think 151, it feels like the supply was just enough.
Yeah.
Which is that's perfect, really.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of just been and gone, hasn't it? Like it did just seem like a really nice set, but it's quickly how new sets just come out and news about new sets, like the new shiny set, just comes about so fast. But yeah, I think potentially that's all we have for today, unless there was anything else you wanted to go over.
I think that's it.
I
talked a lot.
Yeah, so next episode is, I assume, going to be your return from Barcelona. So I'm excited for that. I hope the audience is excited to hear how that event goes for you, what you pick up, just everything that you get up to. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit subscribe. If you're on Spotify, please hit follow. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.